Hope everybody's doing good, doing well. If not, as always, sending peace, love, and blessings. I'm very tired and drained, but I'm still going to show up. God has got me going through a lot of spiritual upgrade and download. Very overwhelmed. I want to talk to you guys about one of my gifts that God has blessed me with. And for those who are able to be able to put some strength in your ability as well, this is one of the things that you were gifted with by God, and it's something that you can master. But as always, I want to start with this prayer affirmation. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I will trust in the Lord with all my heart, lean not to my own understandings. In all my ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct my path. He shall direct your path. He shall direct our path. I agree with you, God. I move with you, God. I am with you, God, and I never doubt you, God. Amen, amen, and amen. So y'all know normally I I jump straight in and talk, but I guess I'm gonna try to uh, give it a second, literally a second, because I'm tired. I got so much more I need to do, but again, I always want to do my best to show up for you guys. So let's get into it. We already 2 minutes in, so let's get into it. One of the things that God has blessed me with, and that I've been going to the school of God to master my divine identity, my divine purpose, and to understand my role in the mission. And one of the tools and tactics God has blessed me with is, hello, how's it going? What's up? What's up? Um, I'm from the Midwest. Um, how's it going? How's it going, everybody? One of the things God has gifted me with is perceptive discernment. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that in case it's something that you guys might be experiencing, and so you can know how to tap into it more and lean into it, because it's really something that I wasn't aware of until he gave me revelation for it. So you might be asking what perceptive discernment is. It basically involves the ability to accurately perceive and understand situations, people or details. It often relies on keen observation, intuition, and basically thoughtful analysis of information. So everything around you, basically. Um, so I remember experiencing things where I could read situations and be able to tell what's going to happen. People always ask me, how do you know that? And it'd be things like so far ahead, like the stuff that's going on in Hollywood, in the music industry, stuff that's going on politically, just situations that I was closely tied to. And I always thought that I just knew it. I just knew it until I came across certain information and certain studies, and uh, I realized and start reading it was more of a discernment thing, and access to perception. So perceptive discernment also is being having sharp understandings of nuances in various situations, basically being able to interpret information beyond surface. A lot of times I would watch movies, and if it became a favorite movie of mine, um, I would watch it 3 times, but each time I would watch it, I would get different understanding, different insight, and different perspectives about it. And in that, it would give me wisdom and open my eyes to things that I wouldn't have normally perceived a certain way. And it didn't always start like that. How's it going, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. Let me know how y'all doing today. Um, so you might be one of those who are gifted with perceptive discernment, and you can use this in a lot of areas in your life, um, particularly in your journey, especially when you're evolving and you just want better and you want to protect yourself, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And for me, I began to strengthen my perceptive discernment as I got closer to God and as I embraced my spirituality a lot more. I began to be very perceptive and discerned in my personal relationships. It aided me in understanding my emotions and the dynamics between that. Even professionally, it allowed me to contribute to effective decision making and problem solving. I was always quick to solve problems, whether it was people who would come express what they were personally going through, whether it was a situation at work that needed to be handled a certain way. Even with my kids, being able to give them answers to the things that they don't understand. And I would talk to them, and then later I would have to thank God for giving me the answers, because a lot of times I wouldn't know where the answer came from until I realized, oh yeah, man, yeah, I ignore the racists, man. I just pray for people like that. But I appreciate that, man. um but yeah, I always wonder what was going on with me, how I knew these things. So in learning my perceptive discernment, it helped me grasp concepts deeply. For me, I can connect the dots. Um, for me, I have this saying that everything is everything and everything, and I came up with that because I was always able to see all the sides and connect all the dots and see how this connected to that and how that aligned to this, and which led me to a lot of my publications that I put out, which led to a lot of the wisdom in these videos that I put out for you guys. And ultimately, it allows me to be a catalyst for change, some type of therapy, mentoring. So, I was in prayer one day, and God showed me that everybody doesn't have this. It's something that I gifted you. And now that I know that this is a gift, I want to give insight to those who may have this gift as well, but don't understand that that's what it is or that's what they have. So again, it definitely helps me to be mindful. Um, I had to hone in on my observation skills. I learned to be quiet and just be observant in a lot of situations, which strengthened my discernment. The quieter you are and the more you observe, the more you take away from the enemy to be able to use against you, the more you can avoid a lot of the distractions. A lot of trials and tribulations can be understood. uh, it also allowed me to break cycles within myself and in my surroundings. So, if you're one of those people who have this urge to always develop your mindfulness, or to always find your purpose, or to always be of service in a connecting the dots type of way, giving people understanding of themselves or situations, and it just comes naturally to you, you probably have perceptive discernment. And I in the beginning of this, I had a lot of questions of God, and He would just kind of show me that don't worry about the questions, just embrace it. So if this is something that you resonate with, I'm gonna encourage you to just embrace your perceptive discernment. Don't always question things a certain way just because everybody else does, you know. And then if you do have questions, get used to leaning into God and not the world, because the world will give you just the understanding that it can relate to. And a lot of us with perceptive discernment get downloads that supersede, you know, just the physical. It's really being able to tap into a spiritual aspect of wisdom and download and understanding of what's going on in the world and what's going on around you, being able to connect dots that nobody else could connect or would even think to connect. And that was me. So perceptive discernment extends to one's self-awareness. It definitely allows the deeper understanding of personal motivations and values, and communication. It involves interpreting nonverbal cues and grasping underlying meanings. Like, what I mean by that is I can read the room. I can read people through their gestures, through face expressions. Just I'm very perceptive to energy and emotions, and like I can meet you and just listen to you talk for maybe 5 minutes and can give you a breakdown on what you may be going through. Now, I can't do this, I haven't mastered it yet for everybody else, but I've mastered it with myself. Being able to be, you know, use that perceptive discernment internally. I've mastered, and I'm still growing with it externally. But you should always master things within yourself before you try to master it externally. But at the end of the day, if this is a gift, if this is a skill set that God has blessed you with, you know, I just want to give you some understanding and give you some insight from my journey with it, how to again strengthen it and lean into it, and to grow it, to strengthen it. So, you know, I definitely want to encourage you to cultivate a curiosity for it and staying attuned to the details on your daily experiences, because this can further, you know, redefine your skill, especially when it comes to contributing to an insightful approach to life. I see a lot of people on YouTube who are practicing and exercising their perceptive discernment, um, because again, like, everybody doesn't have access to this. Some people are just blocked out from this. It's not like everybody has their own gifts, everybody has their own talents, everybody has their own skill sets that God has instilled within us. So it's not for everybody to have perceptive discernment. And I love you too. I just want everybody to realize that if this is something you resonate with, that it's a possibility for you to not be overwhelmed by it, or to not allow others to distract you and pull you away from it. Because if God gives you something, it's for a reason. And I'm currently working on something about, you know, a divine identity. And part of that is being aware of your mission in God's plan. So if God has given you this gift and it's something that you resonate with it, just know it's definitely, he chose you for a reason. It's a tool that you need to be using at maximum capacity, especially in the times of now where so many people are lost, when so many people need guidance, so many people need understanding and mentoring. And we are the ones who can give that insight. We are the ones who can lead them in the right directions they need to go. And that's not to say that we are God and we have all the answers, but we can give them a push start or a jump start in the right direction with it, with our perceptive discernment. So don't run away from it, embrace it. So to break it down a little more, perceptive discernment has different areas. The first area that I tapped into was the emotional intelligence. And this stemmed from my suicidal seasons, when I was just so distraught with life and I got so low, and I had to redefine myself and find myself and find my purpose and re-identify what and who I was meant to be and what I was here for. So understanding others as well as myself. So, you know, that perceptive discernment enables you to read between the lines of what people say. It allows you to capture emotions that may not be um, directly expressed. Again, like I said earlier, people would come to me with their problems and they would only tell me bits and pieces of it, but because of that perceptive discernment, I was able to tap in and go a little deeper than they may have wanted. And in that, I've gotten so many people like, they would just tell me, man, I'm so glad I ran into you. I'm so glad I met you. How did you know that? This really helped me. So you can do a great service in understanding, the different areas of perceptive discernment, especially with this first one, your emotional intelligence. So again, for instance, somebody might claim to be fine, but with perceptive discernment, you know the subtle signs that it's stress or it's discomfort through their body language or tone. And especially when I would be in the workplace, because everybody gets drained and gets tired, and we do our best not to bring our personal lives into work, but it happens. And a lot of times we just need that positive energy, or just to know that there is someone around us who is there for us in whatever moments we're going through in that presence. I was that person in a lot of the workspaces through my work careers. And back then I just thought I was being a nice person. I just thought I was being supportive, but I never realized I was tapping into my purpose, that divine mission that I realized that I'm responsible for in playing my part. Having empathy is an example of me expressing that emotional intelligence for others, understanding others. So it helped me to better emphasize with others by sensing unspoken feelings, and basically leading to deeper connections and relationships. A lot of the relationships I have, and the friends that I've made, the acquaintances that I've made, I've gathered that through my emotional intelligence area in my perceptive discernment. Another area will be decision making. This require like critical thinking, like skills that sharpen your ability to assess situations by, again, being observant of your context clues that are around us in life and around us in our experiences, including people, including relationships. So I'm very keen to like weighing the pros and cons with great accuracy, by identifying these factors and not overlooking or underlooking the little details in a lot of things. So basically, how this helped me is like I was able to recognize patterns a lot. So over time, I learned to recognize patterns, whether in financial markets, whether in human behavior, whether it was business, and whether it was just personal things in my life, like my cycles, realizing like the generational curses or cycles that I was tied to that brung upon my suicidal tendencies, and not understanding where my traumas came from and how I didn't access or process emotional trauma and pain in the right ways. So you definitely want to be, good on your critical thinking in that area of your perceptive discernment, because that gives you the ability to know when and how to use it and access it in a way that's not abusive. So you don't want to use your perceptive discernment to be abusive, because that now becomes narcissism. And that's why I was so conflicted in understanding what perceptive discernment was, because at first I leaned too much in my narcissistic traits, but it was only narcissistic because my perceptive discernment I had no wisdom of it, which then allowed me to carelessly and recklessly use these abilities to take advantage of people and manipulate people in a sense. And again, I had to heal from that, and God had to convict me of that. He had to discipline me with that. So he definitely took me through the ringer and understanding what that was for me. So you definitely want to make sure your decision making and empathy for others is the strength of all these areas in your perceptive discernment, or you will fall into those narcissistic tendencies, and you don't want to do that. Another area in perceptive discernment is conflict resolution. So like, how can I explain this? In conflicts, basically, perceptive discernment helps you identify the real source of tension, which often is not what's being directly addressed. You will see this a lot of times in relationships. This can be mean realizing that a disagreement about a project at work or a situation in your relationship is actually rooted in a lack of respect between lovers, friends, and or colleagues. So it'll be a lot of times where I will push people away because of this area in my perceptive discernment, because I will call people out. And a lot of people don't like being called out in this nature when they try to beat around the bush. So this helped me realize how much manipulation and how much narcissism was being used against me and on me personally and around me. And a lot of times people do not like that. People do not like to be called out, especially when they have ill intentions. So um, it brings a certain neutrality in your experiences and in your life. It can enable you to navigate emotional changes. Uh, it can enable you to navigate emotionally charged situations by staying neutral. Again, this was me being able to see both sides to people's disagreements, people's way of thinking, people's way of handling situations. And a lot of time people will come vent to me, but they will and again, I had to master this, and that's why empathy and conflict resolution, I mean empathy and decision making, needs to be, the foundation, because people would gravitate to me and they will feel comfortable and be led to vent to me, but they will also want me to validate them. And a lot of times it will be hard for me to validate just them when I was perceptive to the full understanding of what was going on in that entire situation. And a lot of times people will vent to me and address what they will feel was the reasons they were wrong, and I would point out in the situation and how, yeah, it's cause and effect. I know you felt like this because this person did this, but did you ever think about why? Why did the person do that? And a lot of times people would get so upset at me for, bringing that to the forefront or bringing that to their attention. But I realized it wasn't just them being upset about that. It was just about timing. So you have to practice patience and exercise patience and timing with your perceptive discernment and in the area of conflict resolution. So you definitely will be keen to seeing the facts for what they are, and you would definitely be able to avoid being swayed by strong emotions and have biasness in your perception of whatever is being brought to you or whatever's surrounding you, whether internally or externally. uh what's another one? Personal growth. My leadership capabilities. My perceptive discernment has brought me to a point where I can be a good leader if exercised right and mastered in the right ways. Again, you want to make sure you're doing this with light and love, and not being manipulative and evasive and abusive with this skill set, because again, you can fall into narcissistic tendencies and you do not want to do that. So after I evolved from the lack of understanding of what this was as far as the perceptive discernment, it put me in a position to be a great leader. And now if you have those leader characteristics or that type of personality with perceptive discernment, you can read your team's morale, understand hidden challenges, which then allow you to offer solutions that resonate with the needs of the people who take your leadership. So they are often able to come to you to be inspired. This also helps with loyalty. Um, this allows you to maintain harmony. Um, what else? Also knowing when to step back, since we just were talking about that, like timing and patience. That's where that comes in. Hmm. It allows you to be strategic with vision too as a leader. Like like uh like a leader with this type of skill set can look at situations or businesses performance, and kind of see ahead of the curve, ahead of the game, as far as being intuitive and innovative, with a lot of things. Allows you to discern opportunities for growth before they even are apparent to others. A lot of times that's what separates leaders from followers, being able to understand what's coming ahead to lead the pack and prepare those behind you for what's to come. So you want to be able to manage that in a rightful way. Also, creative thinking. It's kind of ties into problem solving though. So, like as far as the area of creative thinking, that perceptive discernment, excuse me, helps you identify not only problems but also creative solutions. Not every problem is going to be like not every problem is going to have your average or normal type of solution to it. So sometimes you might have to be quick on your feet and be creative with, problem solving, especially if you're in a leadership role, especially if you have a lot of people following you. Um, yeah, it's very important. But again, these are all things and areas in perceptive discernment that you can work on and master for, the development of, excuse us, a fly, development of this skill set and this gift. If you resonate with this and this is something that you gravitate towards. What else? Adaptability. Um, how can I explain this? I don't know. I guess it can encourage flexibility in thinking. Um, I know being a perceptive individual for me has definitely opened me to adjusting my perspective based on new insights. As I discern more information, there's been plenty of times where I've had an idea or some ideology that I've adopted. Then later on, something else was downloaded to me, or I came across some new insights, some new wisdom, and I had to kind of redirect that ideal or ideology that I've embraced. So being adaptive to uploads, being adaptive to conviction, being adaptive to accountability, all those things fall under, the area of creative thinking to me, because not every time for me have the solutions or the answers been right there. I've really had to be creative to get an understanding and the fullness of what's going on. What else? Um, Personal development. That's a good one. Again, we spoke on this one earlier. It was one of the first things I talked about, but being self-aware, developing skills that could lead to heightened sense of self-awareness, where you can detect shifts in your own emotions and thoughts. It's also encourages growth in mindset, like I just described in the previous area. Just being able to discern areas in which you can improve without being defensive or resistant to what's being brought to your attention, or in the way, or the way you pave yourself towards real growth. Basically recognizing both strengths and weaknesses becomes easier. So it's not always about knowing what your strengths are, but also knowing how to master the understanding of your weaknesses. Again, this is where that perceptive discernment comes really key to the internal works that need to be done. Because look, prime example, if it wasn't for the growth of mindset or being able to recognize my strengths and weaknesses, I would have never realized that I was narcissistic majority of my life. In using my perceptive discernment, I would have continued to be manipulative to gain what I can gain in it. But now, because I understand the reason behind my narcissistic traits stem because of my traumas, my mother, father issues, abandonment issues, I no longer feel the need to have to manipulate or control my experiences based off my pain, based off my trauma. Instead, I embrace it. I use my emotional intelligence, right? I allow that to affect my decision making, which gives me a heightened sense of my conflict resolution, which leads to my evolution and spiritual growth. Y'all following me? And that spiritual growth aids in my personal growth, and that personal growth allows me to be creative in my newfound identity. You follow me? You follow me? And because now I have this new identity that aids in my evolution and growth, I now know what areas I need to be personally developed in, which brings me to the next area, which would be, that mindfulness and that intuition. So right now, what God has me working on in my perceptive discernment the most is this, that mindfulness and that intuition. Being present is something I struggle with. A lot of times I feel like I'm always distracted mentally. So, through that mindfulness and those practices, my perceptive discernment increases my awareness of the present moment. And now it's easily for me to realize so much. Like, again, this can involve me noticing details in my environment and catching emotional triggers before they escalate. And a lot of times I was a hothead, very angry. Um, Not so much now, because I'm practicing being present and using my perceptive discernment in all these areas to be better. Also, intuitive decision making. Perceptive discernment definitely sharpens intuition. Like, when I say my intuition is at an all-time high at current, I know I still can elevate it more, but in comparison to where I was at with following my intuition, I was nowhere near where I needed to be. But now that that discernment, my perceptive discernment, aids in my sharpened intuition. So this actually helps me to follow my gut feeling or that inner knowing sometimes. Like, there be situations where people will call me and ask me what I'm doing, and I just know instantly, not I can engage, but I don't want to be involved. Like, you trying to hang with us? Nah, because I have this intuition, and then I use my perceptive discernment to even hear it through people's voices on the phone. I don't even have to see people nowadays to, really gauge whether I should be around these people or not, whether I should partake in this activity or not, and come to find out, because I said no, I avoided going to jail. Or, matter of fact, if I would have had a better understanding of my perceptive discernment, I would have never gotten shot up, because I would have followed that gut feeling. I would have listened to everybody, and I would have exercised the right mindset to be able to read what was going on around the time I was shot and I almost died. So again, this is why I'm telling you these things, because this stuff can save your life. It can save other people's lives. There's been times when I warned people that I cared about, hey, I don't think you should go do that. In fact, let's go do this instead. Won't you hang with me? And then now I just save that person from going to jail or experiencing something that, God may have not have wanted them to go through. That could have been, lethal, or just could have been hurtful to them mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. Yeah. I think the last thing area is just the discernment and information, like being able to read between the lines of media and news and on social media, like a lot of people, like political scandals, or a lot of, like, being able to read through the fabricated lies and the illusions that are created through politics, through, again, the news. And sometimes understanding things are more serious than they're being led, or things are not as serious as they are being led, or we are being led to believe. So again, by cultivating your perceptive discernment in these areas, you could create a more balanced, mindful, and effective approach to how you interact with the world around you. And that's very important, especially when you're on this spiritual journey, especially when you're on this walk, because this walk is going to come with so many spiritual attacks, so many distractions, just so many things that you're going to have to be able to cut off, so many things you're going to have to be able to grow from, be accountable to be able to heal. It's a lot that comes with this perceptive discernment, which is why I'm making this live and this video for whoever uh needs it for whatever time. So there are definitely different ways to enhance all these things, and I'm gonna share a few with them before I get share a few of them before I get off here, because we're going on 40 minutes. I didn't even think that I'll be talking this long about perceptive discernment, but it's such a good topic, um for me, and I hope for anybody who resonates with it. um I don't know. Excuse me. So you can definitely engage in active listening skills during conversations to practice empathy. Um, you can take part in exercises like these debates, and analyzing and sharpening your skills and observation. Um, develop. This is a good one. Develop a habit of asking why. People would give me answers and I would still ask why. And a lot of times it would get me in trouble, but don't ever stop asking questions. Like, I think a lot of times we get so comfortable in just accepting answers or subscribing to things. So never be scared to ask why, because why helps you to understand the root of problems and this make decisions based off a comprehensive analysis of whatever's going on, whether in your life or in the people's lives around you. It's always good to reflect on past decisions, to understand, how your intuition played a role, and to see its accuracy. So, like, to kind of give yourself a guess and check with your intuition or that gut feeling, and knowing how to move. Uh, You definitely want to stay informed about things around you, like in the workplace. If you choose to use your perceptive discernment to get ahead in your career, you definitely want to be informed on industry trends and innovations. Um, what's some other stuff I can think of? Journaling, as far as your mindset and mindfulness, this is one of my favorite things. It's actually how I get a lot of my publications started and finished. I start journaling, um, for therapeutic reasons, and then that just turns into well written out thought processes, then which turns into research and development, which then now turns into a book. So you definitely want to enjoy meditation, and practicing mindfulness. Some ways to enhance. Let's see, what was one of them? Adaptive thinking. Embrace challenges. That's a good one. That's a real good one. So in my journey, I knew I always wanted to be a writer, but I never knew where to start, and I was always fearful until one day I just embraced the challenge to get it done, and one book turned into 8 publications, and for sure more to come. So you want to always embrace the challenges that face you most, and that's going to help you push you out your comfort zone. And when you out your comfort zone, it opens you up for more experiences to use your perceptive discernment to understand how to navigate that stuff. So you want to also engage in activities that require quick thinking and flexibility, like problem solving workshops, like escape rooms. I used to play those escape room games on the computer all the time growing up. Yeah, it's the only thing I can think of right now. And if you master this stuff in the right way, you can make a profession out of it. That's my next goal, to make this, to make my perceptive discernment professional again, because not everybody has this gift. Not everybody can tap into life and so many things and connect dots the way I can or we can. And it'd be good to be able to help people every day like this to a point where I can make it a full-time focus. But that's definitely got its own steps, which I'm not going to talk about right now. So that's really all I got right now for the perceptive discernment. Again, if this is something you resonate with or that you feel like you have, man, take notes from this video, write this stuff down. Let me know in the comments if this is helpful, if it's something that you've always been tied to. And I think that's all I got. So I'm gonna get off here. As always, never settle, always be great, always be you, always love yourself. Remember, God loves you. Remember, God loves you. And life is beautiful when we allow it to be. I'll catch y'all next time. And thanks to everybody who tuned in. Thanks for everybody who subscribes, leaves comments. I appreciate y'all dearly. I love you all. I'm praying for you all, no matter what you're going through, no matter what your conflicts are, no matter what your beliefs are. I'm praying for your relationship to grow closer to God, and for anything that you're going through, that you be led back to God and your divine identity, because it's very important in these times of now. If you can't tell, the world is going through a lot, and it's up to us to navigate this thing correctly and with the right magnitude and understanding. So I will catch you guys next time. I hope everybody's doing well. If not, again, I got you in prayers, and I will see y'all soon.